My name is Eric Albarracin, Team Nogueira wrestling coach for the pro team in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I am a wrestler. I wrestled at Arizona State University, and I also competed in freestyle and Greco-Roman, where I was a three-time university national champ and USA team member. Also a U.S. Olympic Training Center resident for 10 years, in which I was also part of the United States Army. I achieved the rank of captain in the Army, and my last job in the Army was training soldiers before deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan. And I trained them in hand-to-hand combat in the U.S. Army's modern Army combative system. I became a military instructor, and there was one thing one of my first college coach told me is he said, there's too many coaches and not enough teachers and instructors. And that's one thing we learned in the military. I learned is how to become an instructor and take a soldier from A to Z. And I use that knowledge to train fighters and take them from being beginners in wrestling to being experts in wrestling, and using that to complete their MMA game and become world champions. Strategy as a wrestling coach it varies because we get to dictate where we want to take the fight. You know, if my fighter's a striker, I want to keep him on his feet. We work on takedown defense. If my fighter is an expert at jiu-jitsu, he's awesome on the ground, we emphasize closing the distance and taking your opponent down and trying to submit him, finish the fight. Always looking to finish the fight. And wrestling can dictate where you want to take the fight. So the strategy is always different for each fighter. Each fighter has a different set of skills, and I learned to work with what they got and improve it with adding the wrestling to it. Yeah, the fight at Ultimate Fight Night here in Abu Dhabi was one I'd like to forget. We didn't get to win. We can't win them all. Nothing can take away from the legend of Rodrigo Nogueira, and nothing can take his glory away. So many things he's accomplished, and so many people he's inspired. And as far as the fight went, it kind of went like almost every other Roy Nelson fight, and there was nothing surprising in what he was doing. I think our strategy was to close the distance and clinch with him and put him on the cage. And it just didn't happen. I think Minotauro got clipped early with an uppercut and then a right to the chin that would knock out 99% of the heavyweights out there. And, I wish Rodrigo would have stayed down. Not stayed down as a knockout, but stayed down and, invited Roy into his guard. But, like a warrior, he wanted to get right back up, and he did. And I think he was still a little bit out of it, maybe a little groggy, and kind of like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a game plan until you get hit in the mouth. And I think after you got hit that hard, the game plan was out the window, and I don't think he was 100% in the fight at that point as far as alertness. And Roy got got that overhand right off, and it eventually took him out. It took about 5 overhand rights to take out Rodrigo, though. Normally, most guys go out at one. So, Rodrigo showed a lot of heart and keep getting back up and taking those punches and staying in the fight. But eventually, it caught up to him, and that fifth one was just one too many. And, it hit him like a Mack truck. Nobody would get up. Nobody's going to get up from that. Congratulations to Roy. He came out and did what he had to do. And, Roy's a tough fighter. I'll tell you what, Roy can knock out anybody in the UFC. So, no sweat. Nothing to take away from Rodrigo Minotauro, and congratulations to Roy. It was, a fight's a fight, and anything can happen. Well, Big Nut's a legend in MMA. He's been around MMA for a long time, and he's actually had a wrestling coach earlier in his career named Daryl Golar, a very good wrestler from the United States, wrestled at the University of Minnesota, and he also fought, and he was down here teaching Minotauro for a while in the early 2000s. But so he has a base. He has a good foundation, and I just try to improve upon it. With the more injuries that he's had, it's a little bit more difficult. The wrestling, as far as like freestyle and maybe taking shots, so we've concentrated more on the Greco-Roman portion of it. And Rodrigo really likes wrestling, and he also has his boxing and his jiu-jitsu. So, if we, depending on who we fight, whether we're going to use our wrestling or not, well, we always try to use our wrestling, but it's dependent on who we fight. And we work on with Minotauro on that for the last 2 years, different strategies for different fights, and we've come successful. We win some, we lose some. So it's back to the drawing board. Our motto's never quit. So even though he fell his last fight, it's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you get up. Minotauro's been hit by a truck. He got his arm broken. He's got his other arm broken. But you can't break his spirit. And that's a Team Nogueira attitude. And even though he fell, even though he lost, it was 6, 7, or 10 time zones away back in Rio on the same day. We had 3 fighters win. So he's inspiring our fighters from around the world. And that's why I say, Team Nogueira, don't die, we multiply.